You're laughing at a joke you just made, but the sound feels thin. You look around and you see a tiny, almost invisible shift in someone's eyes. In that split second, you lose the room. You lose their respect, and you have no idea why. Respect rarely dies in a fire, a massive blowout, or a deep betrayal. It usually bleeds out from 1,000 tiny cuts of compliance you don't even know you're making. There is a cruel paradox in how we treat each other. The person you sacrifice the most for, the one you always say yes to, is often the same person who treats you the worst. This loss of standing happens because of how the human brain calculates the cost of time. We are reacting to a social price tag that you have set for yourself. When you bend over backwards to accommodate everyone, you assume you're building a mountain of respect. Instead, you are building a cage. Constant compliance eventually renders you invisible. To understand why this happens, we have to look at a baseline rule of behavioral economics. The human brain values what is scarce. Think about the ultimate people pleaser, the friend who happily volunteers for the 4 a.m. airport drop-off or instantly agrees to cover a miserable weekend shift. While they think they are being heroic, the receiver's brain translates this behavior differently. When your time and energy are given away for free without limit, the subconscious tags your presence as cheap. This chart shows how the social market reacts to that oversupply of favors. As your availability curves toward the maximum, your perceived value drops to near zero. You are treated like a free utility rather than a person. By attempting to be endlessly useful, you are actively training your peers to treat your time as worthless. You are handing them the manual on how to ignore you. This dynamic creates a social imbalance. It happens when you heavily invest your effort into a relationship without the other person matching that energy. For the receiver, unearned favors generate a heavy, subconscious feeling of guilt and social pressure. They feel a debt they didn't ask for and can't necessarily pay back. This diagram illustrates the brain's defense mechanism to relieve that pressure. By lowering your social status in their own mind, the receiver restores equilibrium. By labeling your time as less important, they remove the psychological pressure to pay you back. People don't pull away because they are inherently malicious. They pull away because their subconscious minds are trying to balance an emotional ledger that your overgiving broke. The damage of over-accommodation also happens in the smallest moments. Imagine a stranger dropping a tray of coffee in a crowded shop. The immediate impulse of the chronic people pleaser is to jump up and frantically start fixing the mess. Compare that to a measured response. Someone who simply catches the person's eye and says, "That looks like it sucks. Are you okay?" They acknowledge the accident, but they don't intervene. Rushing to solve someone else's problem before they ask for help bypasses their autonomy. It sends a silent signal that you don't trust them to handle their own mess, which the brain interprets as a lack of respect for their competence. Respect requires treating others as capable adults. Over-accommodation, then, can actually feel like a subtle form of condescension, even if you mean well. Breaking this cycle requires an intervention that will feel terrifying. You have to put a hard price on your time by explicitly saying no to a major favor. When you set this boundary, you will not be met with warm understanding. The immediate pushback will look like annoyance and entitlement. Psychologists call this the friction of congruence. Aligning your internal boundaries with your external actions brings immediate conflict before it ever brings peace. This friction acts as a social purge. It quickly exposes who actually cared about your company and who was merely enjoying your free labor. This visual represents the true function of a boundary. It is a perimeter that defines the parameters of acceptable behavior for the outside world. The idea that being a good person means keeping everyone happy is a cultural lie. Genuine goodness requires honesty and the integrity to tell the truth about your own limits. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Remove your time from the shelf, regardless of the uncomfortable isolation that it might cause. Enduring the quiet fallout of setting a boundary is the only way to guarantee your own worth. The people who stay when you finally say no are the only ones who ever truly respected your yes.